It had been an accident, a happy one. Alfonso Winston had set his iPhone on a magnet, and he realized that it had gone from empty to about a third of the way charged from the time he had entered the pub until the time he left. It was a lightning bolt. Yes, electricity controlled with a magnet. And Alfonso had the mojo to pursue his dice roll and try to make something, well, more of his life. Yeah, more than working for British Telecom. Kind of reminds you of the beginning of Fight Club, doesn't it? Well, venture capital worked different in Europe. The tolerance for risk there was, well, vastly less than in America. So valuations given entrepreneurs were lower, which meant more dilution for founders, less ownership in their companies as funding rounds continued, and, well, less motivation to hang around. And there was good reason. Europe just didn't have the risk capital easily available for investors to take lots of risk and roll big dice. Blame it on the scarce resources that seemed to haunt Europe since the Vikings ran out of food in the 11th century and started to, hunt Europeans. Blame it on geography. Blame it on the dense packing of too many human beings in too tight of a land quarter. Whatever caused it, Europe ended up being forced to, let's call it overly govern. Govern away risk or entrepreneurship or, hope. Too much risk of the continent going to war with each other again if they didn't over-govern, so, maybe the Europeans had to do it. So Europe emerged with beautifully rebuilt buildings, all built at only twice the price of spot market labor because of the mandate to only use union labor in building the buildings, while Europe adopted socialized medicine, equally mediocre medical care for all. Yeah, how's that on the slogan? Great and safe public transportation, yep, they had that, employed lots of people who updated their Facebook pages regularly, and enormous taxes. Yeah, well, a century ago, most of the wealth, power, and technology advancements in the world resided in Europe. But the infighting led to a culture of, relying on government to fix things, and lots was broken. Government did fix that whole wars thing, at least thus far, but the price was, a loss of a formerly free entrepreneurial spirit, coddling workers who stood in the way of even the most basic progress or improvements, coddling of the loudest, not the most exciting economic bets, coupled with the negative economic effects of open borders and, the downside of relatively easy immigration. It all led to a kind of resignation to the norm, the average, the middle of the bell curve, despite having a spectacular education system. That was Europe. So when things went extremely well for Alfonso Winston, founder of MagnaCharge, and the company did so well as to be worthy of going public, Alfonso led the charge, as it were. Sorry, see, we threw that joke in there for free. Well, the company ended up being worth $1 billion, and while this was great, Alfonso's vision was that you'd never have to separately charge your phone. You'd be able to just walk by a giant magnet placed securely every so often, and your phone would automatically charge. No wires. Yeah, it was all good. The problem? Big capital. Big capital needed to put in those big chargers. And there would be winners, and there would be losers. And the dominance of the little guy prevented there being all that much excitement from the British and European capital markets to bid up the valuation of this new company to great heights, such that it could then raise $500 million in capital without diluting the value of the company to smithereens. Yeah, all that would have happened in America. So when Alfonso saw the scale and scope of his vision fade, and by dint of having to be slow because he didn't have the capital and other frictions happened, Alfonso simply went to sell his stake in the company, now worth some $8, $9, $10 million, depending on where the stock price was that day. Well, Alfonso kept about half that for himself, $4 or $5 million after tax. Yeah, as a point of comparison, American entrepreneurs clear 10 or 20 times that number in a decent, not even very highly successful IPO outcome. So even a non-founder technical leader in America who sells at the wrong time, like Milo at CPR, they can make about the same or more than did Alfonso, who was really a visionary and kind of the creator of all this. Yeah, so even some epic failures walk away with much more. That's in America. Take WeWork founder, that guy, yeah, with the great hair. Well, he left the company and made about $1 billion himself before WeWork eventually went bankrupt. Yeah, an American story, whole different world. Well, Alfonso read this and many other American stories in TechCrunch, so after comparing himself to his Yankee brethren, he quickly booked the first flight he could find to America, where he happily set up shop in our offices at Virus Ventures, working directly with me to come up with the next great wireless product destined to make the world, or worlds, smaller and smaller and better charged. And the best part of this story for America? The line of entrepreneurs desperate to come here with all our faults and all our problems and everything else. Yeah, that line of entrepreneurs envious of the American capital market system. Yeah, look at it over there. It's endless.